If I started reselling in 2022, I would focus on one thing: depth instead of breadth. Breadth. Man, that's a hard word to say. I'm going to tell you more about what that means. Stay tuned.
Won't nobody love you the way they should. Won't nobody check up on you, make sure you're good. Won't nobody check those body buttons for your neck.
Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park and I have been reselling part-time now for 4 years. Man, that's crazy. That's a long time. And throughout that time, I've learned a ton, but in today's video, I'm going to share with you what information I would give to someone who was looking to start reselling in 2022, based off of successes that I've had myself as a reseller, but also based off of some of the mistakes and huge fails from my reselling experience. Not only do I think that these tips will be helpful for new resellers looking to get started in 2022, but I think that these will also help those who already have reselling businesses just kind of level up their reselling game. And honestly, a lot of these things are things that I want to start implementing in my own reselling business as well. So the main tip that I would give any reseller, especially when they're first starting out, is to focus on depth instead of breadth. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of resellers, especially those who are new to the game, get bogged down by all of the information that is out there. So I would say start small and go deep. Starting with my first tip, and I'm not even gonna lie, I think that this might be a little controversial, but I would say start on one reselling platform and let that reselling platform be eBay. That's right, you heard me right, eBay. I know that sounds sacrilegious because my YouTube handle is literally called Becky Park on Poshmark, and I'm telling you not to start on Poshmark. While I think Poshmark is the easiest platform to start on, both for listing and shipping, I have a few reasons as to why I would suggest you start with eBay. First and foremost, eBay has the biggest audience. There are the most people shopping on eBay out of every reselling platform in existence, and that's mainly due to the fact that it's literally the first one. So when you list an item on eBay, there's a potential audience of just a crazy ton of people, which in theory is supposed to give your item a better chance of selling. I also think that eBay is the best place to start because it is the hardest. Hear me out. If you can figure out eBay, then every other reselling platform will be so easy for you. If you can figure out listing on eBay with their 10 gazillion item specifics and all of their fees and how to ship on eBay, then once you start transitioning over to Poshmark and Mercari and wherever else you want to sell, those reselling platforms are going to feel like a piece of cake. I also advise that you just start with one platform just so you're able to fully zone in and learn the ins and outs of that one platform before starting to try out other platforms. That way you have a really good understanding of how each platform works and you're not overwhelming yourself in the process. Now, to be honest, eBay is really difficult to get started on, and the reason for that is because there are a ton of scammers on eBay whose main target are new sellers. Now, when I try to think back and remember what it was like to start on eBay, I do remember scammers coming out in full force with items that I had listed for like $50 or more. And the way that they would do it is they would send you an offer that was like above your asking price and try to get you to send them your phone number and your email and your social security number, just all the things. But when I was listing stuff that was like under $10 or under $20, no one really bothered with me because they were not interested in the item. They weren't interested in me as a human being because I was listing trash, and they were like,
oh, this person has no assets to speak of.
So yes, eBay is hard to get started on, but that takes me to tip number 2, which is start listing what you have at home. Let me back up a second. One huge problem in the reselling community is that we spend too much time and money sourcing and not enough time listing and actually making money off of the stuff that we have purchased. This is a great way to just start disciplining yourself and learning about what kinds of items are going to sell. So what I suggest is that you go through your entire house, look through your closet, look through your kids and your partner's closets, look through your kitchen cabinets, just look everywhere for items that you are no longer using, items that you would probably just end up donating to Goodwill anyway. You might find gifts from the holidays that are just collecting dust because you didn't ask for that item. Thanks, Mom. I love it. Yeah. Chances are you have a ton of clutter in your own home that you need to take care of first before you start going out and purchasing other clutter to bring inside your home. There's a ton of money waiting inside of your kitchen cabinets and in your closets. Deal with that first and learn about some of those brands and products that you have at home. And you never know, you might actually realize that you've got a bolo sitting around at home. A bolo, by the way, you're going to hear this term a lot in the reselling community, means be on the lookout. So when someone says, this is a bolo, they're saying this is an item that you should be on the lookout for. So for example, let's say you've gone through your kitchen and pulled out all of the things that you guys no longer use as a family. Perhaps you pull out a couple knives and you see a little insignia that says Cutco on the knife. You look it up on eBay and you're like, oh my gosh, this goes for a ton of money. Just by going through the items in your house and looking them up and doing some research, you're gonna get a free class on what kinds of things are worth money and which kinds of things in the future you can just go ahead and donate to Goodwill. But for example, let's say you're going through your closet and you find, I don't know, I'm looking at my death pile right now. Let's say you're looking at an old college hoodie, something that you wore when you're in college and you were gonna donate it to Goodwill anyway, so you decide, hey, let me just try listing this. The great thing about listing something that you already have at home is that even if you make a mistake when it comes to listing the item or shipping the item, it didn't cost you anything to acquire that item in the first place. So again, you're just kind of chalking it up as free education on reselling. You got the practice of photographing and listing and doing all the things that you have to do for each item to sell. And even if you're not making a ton of money off of those pieces from your own home, or even if you lose money on a couple pieces because maybe you didn't charge enough for shipping, or maybe something broke in transit and you had to refund the buyer, whatever the situation may be, it doesn't sting as much because you didn't put any money into the item. That item was just taking up space in your house. So even though you might not make a ton of money off of those things, you are going to get better and stronger and faster at listing, photographing, all those kinds of things. And I think it's smart and important to grow those skills before you go out and start sourcing. Also, when you're selling items that you were going to donate anyway, chances are you might be willing to price them super competitively, you know, just a few dollars less than maybe what everyone else is. And what that'll do is it'll help you make a few quick sales, and it'll help you hopefully get some positive feedback right away. Or if you're on Mercari or Poshmark, just get some good reviews under your belt. And that way you're growing your audience on your reselling platform and letting other people who want to shop with you know that they can trust you because they see that you have some good feedback. My third tip is tell people what you do and ask for donations. So you'll notice that so far in the video, I have not talked about going out and spending all this money and acquiring all this inventory. My goal in this video is to teach you how to start reselling with basically a $0 investment, because it's totally possible. And as you list stuff from your own home or from donations that you get from friends and family, you're gonna get, like I said earlier, a free education on what kinds of things are good to resell, how to photograph, how to list, how to ship out that bulky vase your aunt gave you. Find ways to learn as much as you can about different brands, about different categories for free, so that you know what to be on the lookout for when you start going out and sourcing for real at thrift stores, consignment stores, garage sales, etc. Tip number 4 is to start with a niche and then niche down even more. What I mean by this is don't get so overwhelmed by all of the things that you could possibly resell online, because basically you can resell anything. I think Scarlett Johansson even said she literally resold like a used tissue that she used to blow her nose on eBay. So you could resell anything you want, and that can be a little overwhelming. So what I would suggest is to focus on one category and learn as much as you can about that category, spend a lot of time in that category before you branch out and try other things. And I would start with a category that you already know a ton about. For example, if you yourself are a gamer, I think it makes sense to focus your time and energy on acquiring as many games as possible, because it's going to be so easy for you when you're in the thrift store or when you're at a garage sale to know what to look for. You're going to know what games are hot. You're going to know what to look for in terms of when you're checking out consoles, like if all the pieces are there. You're going to know how to tell if a disc is in good condition or not. These are all things that I struggle with. Every time I try to look at that section of a thrift store, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing. I will bring things home home and realize I don't have the power cord, or I will buy a game and bring it home and realize the game is not inside of its case. I don't really know what to look for because I'm not an expert on this category and I have not taken the time to learn what I need to learn in order to be successful in this category. But if you already play a ton of games and you already have experience buying and selling games, then this is a natural place for you to start. And even if you feel like, man, I'm probably missing out on a lot of opportunity at any given thrift store I go to because I'm only honing in on the video game section, yeah, you probably are. There's probably a lot of other great stuff in that thrift store, but you're not going to waste time on something that you don't know that much about yet when you're in the process of learning about everything related to reselling. So start with something that you know a lot about and then slowly start expanding. Ask yourself, what else do I know a little bit about? What else am I interested in? Start doing some research, start visiting that section of the thrift store the next time you go, but don't force yourself to learn everything about everything right away because it's just not possible. And what ends up happening is you just start making bad choices as you're sourcing because you're overwhelmed. You have this need to bring something home with you to show for the time that you've spent at the thrift store. It's better to pick up a handful of quality items than a ton of junk that's just going to take up space in your house anyway because you don't know much about it, and once you start looking things up you realize these were all mistakes. My fifth tip is to learn from other resellers who have business models that are similar to yours. The great thing about the reselling community is that it is large and we are pretty generous with all of the information that we've acquired over the years. I particularly learn most of my information from two different platforms, one being Instagram and one being YouTube, and there is just so much free information out there in regards to how to resell. And if you're the type of person who learns a little bit better in like a more sequential way, like you like the idea of an online course or something, there are resellers out there who have created courses on how to resell online, or there are like accountability groups or different things that you can pay money to be a part of. But at the end of the day, there is so much information out there to help you learn what you need to learn in order to be successful as a reseller. But even that can be overwhelming because there are so many voices and so many opinions and so many business models that, again, I would encourage you to niche down even when it comes to who you're learning from. First and foremost, when you are curating who you're following and who you're subscribing to on YouTube, I think it's really important to follow people who are going to make you feel good. And what I mean by that is when you're done reading one of their posts on Instagram or when you're done watching one of their videos on YouTube, you should leave feeling inspired, feeling like you can do it, feeling like you've learned something. But if you find that there's a certain content creator who, after consuming their content, you just feel bad about yourself, that's not the person to follow at the moment. And it could be for a variety of reasons as to why content creators might make you feel that way, but I want you to start there. Who makes you feel good? Secondly, I want you to focus on who has a similar business model to you, who is not so out of reach that you feel like most of the information they're sharing with you is really unrelatable, but who is going to share information with you in a way that you're able to receive it, apply it, and grow from it. I think this goes not only for like how long you've been reselling, but also for what you're reselling. So for example, if you know that especially at the beginning, the only thing you want to focus on is vintage goods, there are a ton of resellers who are extremely knowledgeable about reselling vintage items. If you live in kind of a more rural area and all you have access to in your thrift stores are clothing from different mall brands, I know a girl who sells that kind of stuff and has a lot of experience making good money off of mall brands. It's me, in case you didn't know. That's not to say that you shouldn't watch people who are reselling things different from what you are or who are at a different level than you when it comes to how long they've been reselling. I think it's good to watch people who are at different stages of their reselling business because it can act as an inspiration to you and it can kind of be the kick in the butt that you need to do a little bit more or to push yourself or to at least dream of what your reselling business could look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. But at the end of the day, you just have to know yourself well enough to know what kind of reseller content is going to help you grow. If watching those who are killing it as full-time resellers with a warehouse and employees, if that's inspiring to you and gets you to work a little bit harder and push yourself, then keep watching those people and learning from them how they got there. But if it kind of makes you feel a little bad about yourself and if you're not really taking away a lot of information from those videos because you're just in such different stages of your reselling journey, then find someone else who's a little bit more similar to you. My sixth tip is from the beginning, have a system in place for everything. I'm talking have a system in place for your inventory, how you're going to track your sales, how you're going to deal with damaged items that you bring home from the thrift store on accident, how you're going to process returns, even how you're going to keep track of what items you consider to be bolos. Have systems in place from the beginning because it's much easier to start when there's not a lot going on than when you've got a house filled with inventory and you don't know how to keep track of all of it. So even if you only have 25 things that you found from the closets of everyone in your family, start some sort of spreadsheet on your computer. And what's going to happen is over time, as you start to accumulate more items, or as you realize that you have different needs in terms of what you need to keep track of, you can evolve those systems, but have some systems in place from the beginning so that you can grow that sense of discipline when it comes to tracking everything within your reselling business, when it comes to knowing where everything goes and having a place for each item. Start that from the very beginning. Otherwise, you're going to find it much harder to implement later on. Tip number 7, and then there is a bonus tip at the end of this video, but tip number 7 is when you do finally start going out and sourcing, have a sourcing formula that you stick to. Create for yourself at the very beginning a list of non-negotiables when it comes to the items that you're going to source. For example, are you willing to do any repairs? If not, make sure that that makes it on your list of non-negotiables. I will not pick up things that need repairs. Do you need to make at least 2 times your initial investment? Do you need to make at least a $20 profit on each item that you source? Figure out your sourcing formula and stick to it. And what that means is you're going to leave behind a lot of stuff at the thrift store, some really great pieces, but when you do your research and you look up comps, you're going to realize this item does not fit my list of non-negotiables. This one does not fit my sourcing formula, so I have to leave it behind. And again, grow your discipline and muscles when it comes to that skill of knowing when to leave things behind, because this will serve you so well in the future. I like this quote that says, "Consistency. You are what you repeatedly do every day. Excellence is not an act, but a habit." Gymaholic. Clearly, I just found this online, but it fits. This will prevent you from having what some people call death rooms. It's not even a death pile. It's like an entire room or an entire basement or an entire garage just filled with stuff that people have purchased and have no desire to list because maybe it's not going to make them that much profit anyway. Maybe it needs to be repaired. Maybe it's just something that they hate and they don't know why it's in their house. So make sure that you have some sort of sourcing formula with a list of non-negotiables that you force yourself to abide by, and this will train you to be a reseller who only makes good, profitable purchases. This is something that honestly I still struggle with. I will still pick up an item just because I'm like, it's cute, it'll sell, I'll make my money back. That is a horrible sourcing strategy to at least make your money back or to know that you'll make a little bit of money. This is something that I personally want to work on a lot in the year 2022. So keep me accountable as I post thrift hauls here and there. If you notice that I say things like,
I'll at least make my money back,
you need to find a way to virtually slap me across the internet. I don't know how that works, but I need some accountability. And my final bonus tip for you is to learn how to go from being a hobby reseller to someone who actually runs a reselling business. I can't pull that off. And that is actually what next week's video is going to be all about. So make sure that you are subscribed and that you've turned your notifications on so that YouTube alerts you when that video comes out. I hope you learned a ton from this video, and if you did, I'd super duper appreciate it if you could hit that like button. You can check out this video right here for more information on how to grow your reselling business in the year 2022. But otherwise, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!